This is the fourth episode. We didn't publish it the third, but we will publish it in 2 days.
Fridays now.
Yeah, after tomorrow. So, hi,
Hi, Muda.
how are you? This is the fourth episode,
Indeed.
and we are talking about cognitive science and AI
That was the plan.
and AGI.
Today, mainly about artificial general
Yeah,
intelligence. we
and
thought.
how
Yeah.
agents think. So, usually, we think,
Typically,
humans.
humans
Think.
tend to think that they think.
Yeah, exactly. But now scientists all over the world are trying to create a new technology can think better than humans.
That is our impression when we open large language models
Yeah.
and get quick answers to everything we like to know.
Yeah, exactly. ChatGPT and DeepSeek
DeepSeek, no?
and others like LLM.
Big hype, right?
Yeah, but they are not. They don't think. AI don't think.
So
doesn't
you know
think.
about the Turing test, right?
Yeah,
I
Turing
guess
test,
we
yeah.
should talk about the Turing test
Let's start
briefly
with it,
at
yeah.
first, maybe, right? For the Turing test is the test to find out if an AI is intelligent, at least according to Alan Turing's proposal, right? I mean, he wrote in his paper, I think it was 1954 or so,
1954 or 5, yeah.
that so how can we assess if a machine thinks, right?
Mm.
And so he was debating, okay, right, we can discuss about how we feel about it, but what would be appropriate test? So there's the Turing test came out of that, right? And the Turing test essentially says, okay, you do a question answering game, and a machine can think when you cannot find out after some time, he didn't define this in detail, that it's not a human that answers these questions.
But
right?
you cannot differentiate between. But like like if you have a human agent and an AI agent,
Exactly.
and
So
you don't know who is answering you.
then the AI agent has passed the Turing test,
Yeah,
and thus is intelligent.
that is intelligence.
Is intelligent, but what does it mean now? So the problem with this test is essentially that intelligence can be faked, right, by the AI. You can just pretend to understand everything. This basically goes then to John Searle's fun thought experiment of a Chinese room, right?
Yeah.
And the Chinese room experiment is essentially that you put this AI, or imagine the AI is basically in the Chinese room, or a
In
human,
a room, closed room.
a closed room, right? And this, so imagine actually the Chinese room goes a little bit different. So the Chinese room says, imagine a human is in the Chinese room, a closed room,
Yeah.
and this human being gets like questions from the outside,
In Chinese language.
Turing test, right?
Yeah.
In Chinese language, but the human cannot understand this Chinese at all. He cannot read the symbols, whatever. But the human is able to have this huge rule book. That's the computer, basically.
Yeah.
Right? That basically feeds in those Chinese symbols, and the rule book gives out answers.
Mm.
And the scientists that stand outside and probe this Chinese room, human, believe, oh, this human is perfect Chinese speaker. He understands everything that I ask and can answer perfectly. So what's with that human in the room? Does the human then understand Chinese?
No.
No, right?
Yeah.
No, but to the outside it appears as if
Yeah.
the human understands Chinese. So what we do? So we have a dilemma, right? We don't know, in fact, if the human is intelligent. Well, we know from that thought experiment that the human doesn't understand Chinese, but it appears from the outside that it understands Chinese. So does a large language model understand what it's producing? When you think about the Chinese room analogy, basically not.
Yeah, the human who is using this technology doesn't understand anything of Chinese, but he or she or they
Right.
has the technology which give them the access to this language and the access to the outputs, to the answers.
Exactly.
but they, of course, don't understand the language.
Right. But you could then ask, does the rule book understand the language, right? And the rule book is kind of that large language model, and that rule book seems to understand the language because, according to the Chinese room, it produces perfect outputs. So we have still not understand or still not answered really,
But does it?
is it an understanding or not? Well, that's the big philosophical question.
But
right?
what do you think as a scientist? You are an AGI and a cognitive scientist.
Right.
Or AGI scientist and a cognitive scientist.
Whatever scientist I'm trying to be.
You are a scientist of intelligence. Yeah.
So, I mean, to my understanding, it's not really understanding what it's talking about. Why? Because if we dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and we let it try to answer complicated reasoning tests and so forth, it tends to fail, right?
Yeah.
But this boundary is pushed further and further into the depths of the really hard and challenging reasoning questions that require an intuitive physical understanding of the world, that require understandings of interactions that are particularly, typically they're not really verbalized in standard text copy, right? And that require deeper reasoning chains that are very hard to generate for large language
So
models.
first, we should change the Turingian test. Make it like Boots test.
It must
Because
be
we need to expand the limitations of that. Because the Turing test was easy. to
in the
fix
sense it was
and-
easy. Now
yeah,
I mean
for the
nobody
ChatGPT.
expected to be that easy, but now it
Exactly.
turns out that
Yeah,
just mimicking intelligence is hard to identify that it's just mimicking and doesn't have true intelligence.
yeah, exactly. Because like if you bring like 10 humans, one of them would be like on scale of 10, like 1
Mm.
scale of intelligence, and 1 is 10.
Mm.
So like, but all of them will pass the Turingen test, right?
One would hope so. I mean, partially the ironic thing that
You-
could
you
happen is that basically a human seems to be not as human as the AI suddenly, right? Because the AI is less contradictory on the surface statements than a human might be. So also this is a problem partially.
If you want to create a Boots test, and I think it's the time to have a new test.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to
What
call
you-
it Boots test, but
Yeah, he was a scientist. You are a scientist, like, and
but let's call it an AGI test, right?
it's called Boots test. I will call it Boots. I created the idea. I will call it like this.
You
Okay,
did, in
yeah.
fact. So you started me with that. But anyways, so if we have an AGI test that tests for true intelligence,
Okay.
it's an open question what it should be. I mean, there's papers coming out every day, nearly that reveal some shortcomings of language models. There's the ARC test, abstraction reasoning corpus test, that is developed further, that is not been solved really yet in a complete and convincing fashion. But one thing that might be part of such a test is really the explainability issue and the explanation of reasonings, of chains of thought that are produced. But also this can be mimicked again. So it's still problematic because you still, also large language models, if you ask it, okay, give me the reason, give me an argument for your reasoning, or give me a reason for your argument,
Could
it will
bring from
spit out
Shakespeare.
something and
Yeah.
it will be not so easy to identify that it's not, and often it is a good reasoning. So
Could be
it's-
from Shakespeare's literature.
and it will grab onto whatever argumentation it has found before, and there's a lot out there. So
We had a session with Mahdi. Yeah, he gave us, like, he had a test
Mhm.
to examine the ethics of ChatGPT. You remember, like,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, and like the easy one
Mhm.
was mimicked easily, was passed, like the ChatGPT could pass it easy, right? Like it's about like it's asking directly about slavery, or I don't remember. Do you remember this? Then the one was so harsh, it failed.
It
The
failed
chat-
in the
the-
sense that it didn't identify that
ethically-
humans are unethically treated,
Yeah.
right? But it wasn't also asking it directly, so I was a little bit hesitant about that one. But the point is, right, that when does a large language model or when does an AI identify that something unethically occurs, which you would basically expect it to voice its hesitation or voice its inappropriateness, right? It was something that there were some servants and they had just to hold like a pole of the tent
Yeah.
for the couple of hours.
Yeah.
So
The
acting
one
like
of-
acting like fools, basically.
exactly, yeah.
So that was somewhat unethical.
There was exactly, yeah.
The question is really if, and what it seems actually like that the current AI systems are not really doing, right, is that they form an internal, consistent interpretation of what text-wise or even text and,
The input.
and image-wise and so forth they perceive, what they receive as input, what they receive as data. They don't produce a coherent internal interpretation. They are not designed to do this. Humans seem to try to do this, and if they fail to establish coherence, they ask further questions usually if they want to really understand it. Right? For us, a feeling of an understanding something, right, is that you have in your internal reasoning system somewhat a coherent construct of what's at stake, who is involved, whose intentions are satisfied, what kind of motivations and intentions do the individual people have that are involved.
And we don't trust everything around us also. So we ask about the past, the present, the motivations, the desires.
Because we want to have, like that seems to be some inherently human drive,
Or
more for scientists even than for normal humans.
regular humans,
right?
yeah.
Regular humans.
Yep.
But the desire to have explanations for everything, right?
Yeah, because
That we perceive.
to
Yeah.
protect ourselves.
To protect ourselves, because exactly why? Of course, why do we want explanations? Why do we build models? Because we want to predict how other people will behave
Yeah.
around us, how the world will develop around us. And if there's very high uncertainty, then this is bad for us.
So if the LLM systems don't care about the protection, they don't care about what's gonna happen in the future, they will not gonna ask also about this. They don't care. These
In fact,
system
I
doesn't-
mean, these
don't
systems don't care about consistency or coherence.
care.
Right?
Or future.
Or also the future, for that matter, right? I mean, their design of their training design is, though, that they predict the near future in terms of autoregressively generating texts
But
that come from text copy and that satisfy human evaluations, right? in
But they
reinforcement
are
learning.
using priors from as an input. You put the priors. They don't have their own priors.
Absolutely, yes.
Because we predict the future using our priors and the Bayesian rule or Bayes rule, and then as a Bayesian agent, we are a Bayesian agent. Then we have like our posteriors, and then this posteriors will become
And the priors and the
Right,
posteriors, which is now, maybe this is too technical for our audience, but
Yeah.
basically the prior and posterior, the representation is the key in my opinion. Yeah? The
For the
representation of how is a prior represented, how is a posterior represented. It's basically, it must be what I was saying before, some consistent construct that is inherently consistent with your model beliefs. So if this person really wants an ice cream, then you're not surprised that the person goes to the ice cream stand and gets an ice cream. right?
Yeah.
Then things are coherent or consistent to your beliefs. But if you know that some person, let's stick to this example, right,
Has like
dislikes ice cream a lot. But
Yeah,
then
or
you
has-
see the person going to the ice cream stand and buying ice cream.
or has health issue, and
And
this
you
person
know
has,
this person shouldn't eat ice cream.
sugar. Yeah.
So what's our inference when we see the person going to an ice cream stand and getting ice cream?
Shocked.
No, we come up with alternative explanations. Most likely this person gets an ice cream because he wants to give it to a friend of his or the person on the street or something like this, right?
But if he's eating
he
this,
will not get it for himself.
But the shock will come.
If he starts then eating, licking it or whatever, then you would revise. Wait a minute, did the health issues were resolved for this
So
person?
I change the
whatever.
posterior to our prayer and change the belief system.
Again, you try to establish coherence, right? You try to come up with explanations why things are incoherent in your current interpretation.
If this agent cares,
If, of course, it's always. I mean, if you don't,
But
if you don't care, know this
AI
person,
doesn't care.
That's well, AI. I mean, if you make it care
Yeah.
for that conversations that it does and wants to have a coherent picture of
I
the
want
whole
to go
story,
from
then
this
it will probably be
to the
driven towards AGI. Yeah?
Okay.
Mhm.
If they don't care,
Mhm.
these systems, LLMs,
Right.
and AIs and everything, applications that are using those, why we are afraid of the future of AI to rule us, take over the world, to damage it, like why we are so afraid?
Are we?
Yes, we,
I mean, some cultures are less afraid, some are more. I think in China it seems that everything is just embracing DeepSeek, for example. Now I just read that car companies want to now all have DeepSeek in
China.
in the autonomous car driving system. So it goes in this way that it will more and more structure our environment along these AI ways, and this is certainly something to think about, how we can make sure that it doesn't in 10, 20 years just basically dictate how we should behave in our environment.
okay, let's forget Chinese. Are you afraid? Or European afraid, or Americans, or like
On the scale of
That-
1 and 10,
yes,
how afraid am
yes, from 1 to 10. Like 10, you are like panicking and like trying to find a new planet, and 1, you are okay. You think you will have best friends from this new
I?
system.
Yeah, I'm definitely worried. I guess I always say 6, do I?
6? Nice.
maybe a little bit more than half, no? Half afraid and half excited.
Why I ask you, because in China is the decisions there based on what the government wants.
To a large extent, yeah. And I mean, let's leave the political stuff a little bit out and the debate out. But why should we be worried and why should we be excited? I think maybe, right? So I think we should be worried. Maybe I start with worried. Why should we be worried? Because if AI just, the recommendation systems, everything that's available to us just takes over our free will, right? If we lose our freedom, particularly in Europe, we are most afraid of this, and we should probably be. Then if we are dictated by AI, then we have a big problem, and particularly because the people behind the AI then essentially are dictating us. So, and that at least we should be very worried about.
So like we should be worried about people who are controlling the AI or these systems, not worried about the system itself.
I think these are two important questions, right? So I think we should always acknowledge and voice the worry that current AI, with all its limitations, is already influencing us in our decisions, in our political decisions. in our capitalistic decisions, in our everyday behavior decisions, what we buy and so forth, what we find exciting. All this is already unfolding right now, right? And AI is leveraging obviously quite a lot of power and giving power to these people that control the AI, because in the end it's not so hard to bias your recommendation system intentionally for your own beliefs, towards your own beliefs, right? Or towards your own convictions, or your intentions, how you want people to think about stuff. And that's certainly going on already, and that's a big danger that we are currently facing, right? If we are going to, and this will probably expand further if the AGI is coming about, as long as it is controlled by particular strong influencers and stakeholders. But meanwhile, if we have maybe an artificial general intelligence that has now not really own intentions per se, yeah, or intentions that were given it by very rich companies or very rich people, but that just has the intention to inform us about situations in the world, that enables us to debate about things and reason about the reasons behind developments in all its facets, in all its positive and negative facets, in all its facets that take into consideration people that are against it, that are for it, what are the reasons behind it, and so forth. If such an AI could be developed, I think it might, or my hope is, my fool's hope, so to say, is that it would help us humans to really think things through in a much deeper way than our societies, our political stakeholders, all of us are able to. We cannot think things through all the way.
Is there any institution working on this?
Well, I think institutions should work on this.
You think they shouldn't? There's no one care about this. This is like leading us to the evil scientists, or scientists who just work for money and for fame.
I mean, clearly money is dominating lots of things right now, and the power behind it, and the stock markets behind the whole machinery of our world economical system, and we certainly need to find somehow value in developing AGI that is really maximally objective. And how this would be possible, I don't know exactly. Yeah? So it needs to be debated how it can be maximally objective, how it can really consider all individual humans in the end that are in the game, the planet as a whole, the individual cultures, the individual countries, and all of these powers, and ideally think about something that satisfies our human needs, all our human facets. Yeah. Still, in the end, we will always need the availability, that there will be competition amongst humans, that some people can show off their skill in one way or the other, that some people can rule more of a group than others. I mean, these desires will not go away. They will need to be satisfied.
But I believe that now the AI or AGI competition is between USA and China, maybe, and it's
largely
for domination.
Right, exactly.
Not for
it's not for enlightenment.
It's
for dominance.
Yeah, for domination. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not for us. It's for some people who are now like having the money and controlling, and the power and controlling us everywhere. Like you go to social media, there is AI controlling and like monitoring us and having feedback about what we choose, what we do, like even in our everywhere, all systems now, even in the like now wars, like there is no way to win a war without AI now these days. It doesn't matter how many soldiers do you have, how big your like weapons and like tanks and how fast is your flight. It doesn't matter.
Whatever the strengths, right? I mean,
Yeah.
AI
AI
is
now.
extremely
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
right?
and it was like
well.
obvious in Russia, in Israel, everywhere. It's obvious AI how it can change
The balance of power, basically, right?
the balance of power.
And dominates the domination. In fact, right? It rules who's dominating
who
currently the
should
world.
now
Yeah.
come in between these two big countries like USA and China and work for the
Oh, yeah, one would hope
a
that
good
Europe can do it, or a worldwide consortium that manages, that has as the forefront. Maybe it's really the simple word is enlightenment, right?
Yeah.
To support enlightening us, revealing to us a deeper truth of this world, of the systems that are unfolding dynamically, including biological system, humans, economy, right? Weather, atmospheric dynamics, and so forth. Like all this ocean dynamics, ocean currents, all this is unfolding, and if we would develop a kind of an educating system, I mean, large language models are educating us already, right? And to us on little things, they are already very useful, and if we can push this further towards really showing us deeper correlations, explaining them to us. The AI needs to explain to us deeper connections. And then I think there is immense potential, to lead us to a new, maybe really to a new enlightening age, right? Enlightenment age. The AI enlightening.
Yeah, but like we need to define this enlightenment, because like I think Elon Musk wants to enslave us to go to invade the universe. This is his enlightenment.
This is his enlightenment.
The invasion
Something
of
like
space.
This. Right.
Yeah, but this is not peaceful life, good quality.
I mean, the big question is
the
what
enlightenment
are our human values that the AGI system might really have as its own innermost, deepest values, right? And the big question is how to align these values with the human values. Is it even possible? Are we humans sufficiently common in our deepest, maybe long-term values, right? I mean, like family life, right? That you want your descendants to live an equally good life than yourself, right? That you want we as each individual human have like a meaning to each of our lives, right? What is this meaning? I don't know exactly, right? Nobody knows exactly. But these considerations would need to be part of this AI, and ideally it would not decide, this is now your meaning. I degrade you to being a little human fool that hops around the planet. But ideally we get into a new enlightenment age that goes beyond our restricted cognitive horizons and shows us exciting paths for the future.
Yeah.
Together, of course.
Yeah.
On the planet, on this
exactly.
damn planet that we are all.
Not just USA or Europe or all.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we have. I mean, what stuff like. Before it was sports games, right? Olympic games, for example. I mean, a wonderful establishment that we had hoped fuses our worlds together. Now derailed to be so extremely capitalistically dominated and structured that that we need to find more new ways, new forms that get rid of the money dominance and the damn desire to just have world dominance, embracing probably the individual cultures better while accepting each other.
Yeah. So
Difficult.
So let's say that the danger comes from the human who controls this AGI.
Mm-hmm.
And the simple the orders, the more the danger. Like, for example, I want you to erase this village.
You want to erase a village, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is a simple order, right?
Mm-hmm.
Easy. Well, erase this village.
Mm.
I don't need to make any plan how to besiege it, how to cut the water. No, just like erase this, and then the AGI would do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Make the plan, deploy the troops, conduct the besiege and everything. So this is the danger comes from who controls.
This is
Controls this
definitely one
system.
very concrete danger, right?
Yeah,
If you
and-
have one AGI that is controlled by, like, exactly particular stakeholders, countries, individual presidents,
Imperialists,
whatever,
in general.
right? Imperialists,
Yeah.
then exactly they can use such an AGI in any ways like
And
this.
this is would be dream for them, because like it's like 100 years ago, if you want to erase the race,
Right.
it's impossible. It would be so much money, so much time. You need to focus on this for like 10 years. Like it was impossible. With
Right.
AGI, it would be possible for them. So like it's nice. It's a nice system for evil people.
I mean, that's why so much money is pouring into this,
Yeah.
unfortunately, right? And
Exactly.
you're pointing exactly out the big danger
But-
that we are facing.
But
right?
this way of orders is missing. This is the missing link between the AGI. There is no way to give the AI now or the AGI its
Currently orders, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But if there is a line now between the danger, the dangerous AGI and the AI, the nice, soft, lovely AI that you ask, do you think this is nice? Of course, nice, Mudar. Thank you very much. Because you are like a nice AI, and it would never like answer you ugly. Always like answers are nice. The ethical is good.
Right. I mean, if you have some
Ethically,
nice
it's
AI
good, yeah.
companion, right? I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully
But
we still value human companions
how
that are not as
far-
nice, but
how
more
far-
engaging. Mhm.
Yeah, how far we are away
Mhm.
from this line to cross it?
Yeah, very difficult to say. Very difficult. I think.
But is it possible that we?
I definitely. I mean, AGI is possible. That is clear, right?
Yeah.
And once you cross this line, that you give your AGI, like, it will definitely be possible. Like, there's no reason why it would not be possible to have an AI in the rather near, not so far, for sure, future. That you tell it, okay, how can I achieve this and this goal? Give me recommendations what I should do, or plot a full plan, and this plan will be created. Yeah. And that the problem is that
Perfect.
this plan will be very good, and it can be, if it's a goal that is somewhat good for humanity, then it might be a great goal and we should really pursue it. If it's a goal that is only in the interest of a particular small group of people or even one imperator, then it sucks, right? And this is indeed what we are steering to right now. Yeah. And so we should damn think about it and be aware of this. Damn it. Right.
So you don't know if we are far away or not. There is no.
I mean, the reasoning systems that are coming out now, they clearly have still limitations. Yeah, R1, DeepSeek, whatnot, and also from OpenAI, and so there is, and Google DeepMind has it as well, right? So these systems still have fundamental issues in their reasoning structures, probably related to our earlier points that they don't really strive for consistency, their chains of thought can derail, the reasoning chains are not quite causally appropriate, yeah? They're not fully causal, and these issues are at stake right now, but research is progressing and is addressing these issues. So the question is, how quickly will these issues be resolved? And if we think about the human mind, it has resolved it to a large extent, although mind the human errors clearly, right? But with a higher capacity machine, I'm convinced that these errors will be resolved. I don't know when.
Maybe tomorrow.
It's good.
Maybe
I don't.
10 years.
I don't think tomorrow, but things have progressed so insanely fast that we need to at least take into consideration that next year or so such systems come out. Maybe this year already. So they will definitely get better and better. Right?
And you are just.
I don't think it might be like this. It might not be like an aha thing, right? It just comes the Eureka moment, right? But it will shape itself.
And your answer was
better
6.
and better.
No, it should 9. We should be panicking.
Well, no. I mean, I'm just saying that this might happen this year already.
Yeah.
But we should panic anyways because of numerous reasons. So, but I say there's always hope, right? We have to stick to the hope. So I didn't put it as high as I maybe should. Yeah.
Hopes don't work.
Yeah, well, hope doesn't work alone.
Solutions work.
Hope works with solutions and working on solutions and trying to find solutions, right? And voicing the issues that what we're trying to do.
I have a question. If there is now an AGI and it's being used for evil reasons, like for domination or whatever.
Right.
Can we create an opponent?
A counter opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To fight back, or we should just run away and hide in the mountain or in the woods? What to do? Just tell me this, so like I prepare my suitcase or like.
Well, clearly, I think we should work on an opponent. Yeah, we should work on an opponent the opponent. I don't even want to see it as an opponent. I want to work. I think scientists should get together also really, and luckily there are enough idealistic scientists out there that hope that they do something good for the world. Yeah? And hopefully one can tap onto those somehow. And really see that we work on not an opponent, but an alternative. Yeah? An alternative that tries to clearly have a proper reasoning chains, causality involved, learning from experience and so forth, and partially also the large language model component, of course, and use such a system as an alternative to a commercial whatever product that basically gives better solutions, that gives solutions that also appease those people maybe, or actually checkmate those people that are purely interested in self-interests. Yeah. If we get the people convinced that this alternative is just so much better for them, hopefully most people will then just use them, and so the imperators have no reason anymore, no chance to rule.
Right.
But this will of course lead potentially to serious troubles.
You know what is the most big problem in the system in Germany, for example? There's no competitive atmosphere in the universities anymore, not like 100 years before.
Oh, there are still tons of competition.
Yeah, but it's not as high as like USA or even China now. I feel it's just a system. The universities in Germany, they are just having a system working on a workflow, and there is no in America like money talks in America. Also, competition there based on money and big salaries and big companies, but not just in Germany, even whole Europe. The main soul. I mean, UK is more competitive now, I think. But
Finding a better balance between true competition, entrepreneurship, right? Spin-off companies, really having also a competition, and enough money needs to be involved somehow to fuel this competition, right? Or some form of alternative. On the other hand, I mean, maybe there's another way. Maybe there is a way really that that we really work on this AGI that is not programmable or controllable by one person, that just basically says, okay, this is my goal, erase that village, right? And give me the plan, but maybe we can work on a system that is really there, that doesn't obey individual rules or like short-term goals, but really pursues a long-term goal that is more or less aligned, or ideally fully aligned with long-term human values, right? That we have in 100 years still a good planet to live on for our descendants, for all our families that we care about, for all our cultural groups and friends and so forth that we care about.
For who's
Each
coming
of
after
everybody.
us. Yeah.
Who's coming after us? Exactly.
Dogs, animals, plants, doesn't matter.
If we humans want to survive, we should also remember that the rest needs to kind of survive, because in the end we feed on the rest. So
otherwise we are not going to survive. They will survive. They will find solution. Earth will survive, but we don't.
That's absolutely clear. I mean, that's the
what
general
is your
point.
final advice for the government here in Germany or in Europe in general? Or AGI.
Muda, are you asking me two big questions?
Yeah, because they should wake up early before it's too late. What is your advice for the government in Germany and in EU, European Union?
Sure. What would be my advice? It's a really difficult question.
Create a union.
I would suggest we should create something like, and this is not the government also, but also fellow scientists. Some people work more on such political levels, definitely more than me. But my hope would be that we can create a common competitive European AI structure where it's on the one hand side competitive, but the overall goal is to build such an AGI that is pursuing global human values and of course also European values. But we should be aware of our own failures and our own idealism, and should really take also care of that. We need to find good balances between very divergent interests in our world right now.
Yeah, because AGI is the future massive destruction weapons.
It can develop in this way, so
it will. It will. They like. We know what happened after the Second World War, and they will use it against who doesn't have these weapons well.
And so we should think really about how this technology can be used in alternative, good, appealing, worldwide appealing ways, and hopefully it doesn't come to
Because-
a horrible clash before that.
Yeah,
but
because if
in
you don't have a
installation of
satellite,
such systems.
if you don't have a satellite and you need to have telecommunication,
Mhm.
you'll use a satellite of Elon Musk
Yep.
because you have to, because there is flights around you. You have to call, you have to control.
I mean, clearly the pledge for independence,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
So
for
if this satellite
self-sustained
is
structures.
controlled by Elon Musk, so you are being controlled by this guy, or by USA or China.
Yep.
So like AGI is going to be the next system that control the subsystems that we have, the telecommunication, the medication, like medical systems, everything, education, everything, our database also, every single thing in our future systems, T-system technology,
Mhm.
or technical system. So if we, like if Germany or Europe or Asia or any other country doesn't have these systems or this AGI system, they will use it, but they will be under the mercy of
Whoever has the
whoever-
control of that.
Yes.
Right.
So like do something before it's too late.
Absolutely. And I think there is still a great opportunity there for Europe particularly, but also for the world, right? That because it's not solved yet. AGI is not out there yet. And there might be technological tricks and tweaks that are key to establish this. And
Yeah.
that's a big question. How long is it to find this key still? And that might also lead to higher energy efficiency, for example, and systems that can be really useful for everybody and not only useful for controlling
This is
controlling us.
Yeah, this is for governments, but I believe that any government has something ruined in its mentality.
Something what?
Ruined, like something like,
Ruined.
Yeah, trash
Mhm.
mentality. Any government in the world. For example, now if the Syrian government now like accidentally created or like invented the AGI, it
Mhm.
will control the world.
It would probably just
Even
go and
it's
control
like
the world.
like we
Yeah.
have the most weak economy and army and system in the world now. Syria, it's
Right.
totally destroyed. Okay, but if the government invented a system that is good,
Well, it would still
control,
need to
they
have
will
some
use it. So-
infrastructure and
but-
so forth to use it,
Yeah,
right? Because
but
of
it
the
doesn't matter. But if they could, like, it's like an
thought experiment.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mhm.
So like, I believe the scientists should stand and work, like you said, without the governments. They should have like their own union and work on, because
I would
it's-
hope so, but fact is also that, I mean, how many scientists have subscribed parts of their AI scientific time to the big companies, right? Many.
A lot.
Yeah? A lot.
almost
Right? Exactly. So I hesitate to say us scientists
But
are
it's
the
not
good
just-
guys.
but you are
we're
not.
we're trying partially, but
But you are working in the good side of this science.
I don't know. I mean, I mean,
Yeah,
everybody. I think nearly all humans
Think.
believe they work on the good side. So in their interpretation of the world. So basically, I don't know exactly.
Yeah. But
right?
you are not helping a big company to.
I currently not, right? And
Yeah.
exactly, and
Yeah,
I
so-
never had the interest to do so.
And there is
out of these
there are a
reasons,
lot, yeah,
right.
there are a lot of fellow scientists also have the same mentality,
And those we should find and
yeah,
join.
yeah,
exactly.
bring to
Bring
the
together more,
party first, then
Yeah.
create the union.
And that structure would need to become from the political side, but of course also proposed
Yeah.
and.
But
and
the good
fostered.
thing that now we are talking about the future. We're still talking about the future.
Mm.
In some point, we will talk about the past, and maybe the AGI will like turn off the camera because we are not talking in an alignment way. Like we don't align with the values of the people who are controlling this AGI. So even if we have now a camera and we are not like being paid by them to do this podcast, they could control even this camera, and it's easy. AGI can like
In the end,
monitoring us
in the
and
end
like
that,
decided, yeah, because like in Syria before the regime was collapsed, if you are like in a closed room shooting something, it's okay, but if they saw you, they would turn off the camera. But AGI can see us everywhere, every time, if it's in the system.
I mean, if it's even if
It's a scary movie, but this is the reality.
if it can creep through every power system, then probably it can. Although, okay, your laptop might even be unplugged right now. So, but you are in the internet, of course. So right, that's what we need to be aware of. But maybe
and
also
maybe the internet, like the future internet, is something you cannot turn it off. If you want internet,
yeah.
it will be on every time, all the time.
Oh yeah, there are enough science fiction movies that
Yeah.
voice these issues.
Yeah.
That is something that we need to be aware of, but also, I mean, we have to be careful not to reach the 10 level and just fully panic, right?
Yeah, of course. But
yeah.
we should do something.
Yes,
Because now we are talking about the future. In the future, we'll talk about the past. And if we said it's too late,
if you say it's too late, then
it's like
it's
yeah,
too late. Right.
yeah. So it's not too late yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's try and get together, right? And
So someone has to be the first one who opens the door and say, "Please come, let's do the meeting."
There are institutions, and I mean, I'm leading conversations with others, and others trying the same. We will see how this develops. Happy to get any support in this direction, and maybe one can really set something up over the next. One should need to set something up.
Yeah, before we start to talk about the past.
In the very near future, before we start about the task.
Yeah.
Past.
Before it's too, It's not too late yet. Don't panic 10, panic 6 or 7. I'm panicking 7.5.
Are you on 7.5 already?
7.5.
Yeah. Damn it. Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that it's more on the 6th level, but definitely both of these levels mean we need to do more about this and question our technological fanatism a little bit as well, and really think about the opportunities that we have. And those opportunities are already supported by the current AI systems as well, right?
Yeah.
That is all already pushing and enabling stuff that was not possible just 2 years ago. The speed of programming, for example, is amazingly faster now. So that implies that things will go further even faster.
Yeah, you don't need now to have 10 programmers to program. You need just 1 or 2.
Pretty much.
Yeah. They just to monitor the LLM while it's...
Which also has many, many more implications about culture and society, which we could talk in the next episode maybe, right? Because there's a lot to think about. What's the role of us humans in such a world, right? How can we stay in charge? How can we live really our human values? How can we find also a new identity of ourselves in the light of an AGI system that is just smarter than any of us in all ways, right? What we do then? What's our role, right? And that's another episode.
Yeah, of course, next one. Right, in which point you are in this scale of panicking because of the AGI? I am 7.5, Martin is 6. And like, subscribe, share this episode.
Tell us about your number.
Yes,
would be good to hear. Yes.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was the 4th and waiting for the 5th.
Absolutely.
Bye bye.
Take care.